Hello, beauties. The question today, are you resisting your own growing higher frequency? And there's ways to be able to tell. So our awareness is a gift, right? Our awareness is our growing knowingness. It's our intuition. However, a lot of times we tune into that and we get hooked in. We get hooked in because we really like how it's going. We're like, oh, I've found my intuition. This is how it works, and this is how it stays, and this is how I know when I'm on track. However, guys, you are a growing infinite being that's ever expanding, and you are going to keep expanding your frequency. So, guess what? How you become aware and how your intuition is giving you information starts to shift too. Now, one of the ways you can really tune in to whether you're resisting this new higher frequency is you start looking for the old way. You start looking for the familiar way of your intuition, of your knowingness, of your third eye giving you an image, right? Of certain clairvoyant kind of ways that you're used to. But if you're growing and you're expanding and you're awakening, those ways of seeing and knowing and hearing and all that information starts to shift. And it's scary. And it feels like you're alone. It feels like you've gone offline. It feels like you've lost all your senses, right? It's almost like, if someone touched your hand and you can no longer feel that tapping anymore. It's almost like that's scary. It's like, what's going on? I had all these kind of extra senses and it's not there anymore. That is your awareness shifting. That is your vibration raising. And that's you in your awakening process, growing and expanding with the universe. And sometimes we have to go offline because what happens is before we expand to the next thing, and the reason we can sense or feel or know it is because there's a slight contrast or a big contrast to it. But once we kind of catch up with ourselves, there's a moment where we are in complete resonance with it. There's no contrast. So you can't sense something that's in the gap because there is no gap anymore. And then all of a sudden we have this raising vibration, and then our gap increases. So part of us raises up, and then there's the gap, and then we get to feel and hear and sense all the gap, and then we raise and we raise and we raise to this, and then we keep kind of going. So it can be kind of a lonely place when we're expanding and then we feel lost. We feel like we've lost all our stuff, but hang on. The tendency is to start wanting to go backwards and back down in frequency so we can go back to what's familiar, right? And I would say is to just hang tight in the space of knowing and the space of no contrast, no looking into the gap. Just hang out there. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. It's a yummy space, okay? It's a space of nice creative flow. It's a space of just not a lot of doubting yourself because it's nothing really to doubt. So you can start questioning yourself, like, where am I? What's happening? In the sense of where am I now? Because I feel like I've lost a part of myself. But in actuality, you've gained a part of yourself and you are uncomfortable with it. And so my advice to you, not to go looking back to old ways, but to sit in the question of what's next? Now what? Just sit with that. And you might have to sit with it for a few days, a few months, a few years. Can you surrender to what's next? And in that, you can start to feel the expansion process happening, and you may start to feel like the gap and start to see again. You might start to sense, but it's going to be different. So interestingly enough, I had a session today and it was in a different way. I just came out of this kind of like what's next phase. And now all of a sudden I'm noticing that I have sensing in a whole nother way. Um, my sensing before was more like in my third eye. I could see shapes. I could hear shapes, and then I would know what to do. Um, I would see images, or I'd sense like a past life. So it was more being like a seer or hearing. Now it's just um, a sensing of density, and then just a knowing. And this has been developing a little bit, and I was scared of it and I didn't trust it. And the more I didn't trust it, the less it would happen. So now going into just trusting that I know, and going into the sessions as something's going to reveal the next step. And it does. But I had to spend a really uncomfortable year letting go of the fact that it's not showing up the way it used to. It's not showing up with, concrete images and nice little like packages to like tell people about. That it was more like I was being the invitation to invite others into their own healing process and asking them questions and saying, I'm sensing some density, or what do you sense? And we're this energetic team. So bringing them into their energetic support system as themselves too. And I'm really loving this new way, but it's a new way and I had to get used to it. And for a while, between the new way of awareness and the old way of awareness, there was this time gap where I just felt completely offline, felt like I was never going to do any kind of healing work or support or energetic support work again. I thought, I guess I'm just going to be an artist. I started drawing. And as I said, it's a pretty creative space in here. But then something shifted. I could feel the shift that my contribution wanted to be with mentoring and helping, being a part of a support team for someone. So it's a very interesting process, that space between feeling like you're offline, feeling like you've done all this work to clear yourself, to become like clairaudient, clairvoyant, whatever the clairs are, and all of a sudden it just stops. Now, you may stop right at those the third eye opening and having like, being a seer, and that might be your life's journey. And that's wonderful. I thought that's where mine was gonna just reside. And then all of a sudden it all stopped and I felt like I was offline. I felt like I was never going to do that work again. And I just sat in, what's next? What is this? So those questions are super important, and trusting what was coming next. And then all of a sudden, really, really gradually, some people were reaching out for energy sessions and it felt like an alignment. And I was like, let's see what's going to happen. Because I let go of Reiki. I let go of some past energetics that I was working with. And I was just like, I'm just going to do it through my source self and see what happens. And what happened was a whole new way of doing energy work that is so easeful and so fun. And I'm so happy that I'm back doing this work, but it was a good year of just feeling offline and not clear of what was next. So this is what happens when your energy is raising and you're expanding. And hold tight. Keep trusting, even when there's nothing to trust. Because when you're in that space of feeling offline, you really feel, at least I did, I feel like alone. I felt pretty alone and pretty like Yeah, it's that feeling of offline. Like, what if we all like didn't have internet anymore? Like, I just felt like I wasn't connected in again. So, you know, that space of discomfort is a good thing. The fact that you're uncomfortable means that you're growing and you're expanding and your vibration is rising. And so keep letting it. And you may have little bits of that and come into a new way of being. And then you may have like long bits of that. Like it could be a whole year that you go through that discomfort. It could be like 1 month that you go through that discomfort. But the best thing to do is go within, tune in every day and see where you are, who you are, connect in sovereignly with your source self, and ask that question, what's next? It's a good question to ask even when you've tuned into your new way and you're like, oh, this is way I have awareness. Great, And I'm still asking, okay, what's next? So I have found the best way to live is in severe presence. When I mean severe, I mean like ask yourself every 10 seconds, what's next? Who am I now? What's next? Who and what am I now? Every 10 seconds. If you spend a whole week doing that, you are going to be so surprised at what shows up. Because, a lot of times we look into past, present, and future as like present, past, future. But we don't realize is we're really living them all at once. And so we get super present. We can start to feel the presence of all of it. When people say, I don't want to live in my past, and they kind of do this, I'm going to keep it packaged back there. But really, they're all layered up. They're all happening at once. When we go within, we can really tune into what's next, where we really want to truly live from, and create new realities every 10 seconds. So it's much easier to not live from the past when you actually incorporate the past into your present and then just choose from there, if that makes sense. Because when the past and present and future are all right here, it's not like we're resisting anything. So it's resistance that kind of prevents us from really fully changing and awakening, coming into new awareness. So anywhere we're resisting and reacting for or against something, that kind of shuts us down a little bit, shuts our capacities down. So if we are willing to live the present, the past, and the future all here right now, and you can be aware of all of it, and you keep choosing and say, what's next? Who and what am I now? That you can keep choosing in this 10 seconds. And then you just sit with all of everything that you were and are, and it's all right here. And you get to keep choosing what you want without any resistance. It's the resistance that kind of clogs up the waterways a little bit, the energetic ways, highways. So how can we live as we go on our awakening journey and we're starting to open up to new ways that intuition is working with us and our awareness and how we know? Really, it's asking what's next, trusting in the now, the radical now, which has past, present, and future all in it right here, right now. And then say, I want to choose this right now. I want to choose this. This is who I want to be right now. This is the role I want to be. And just know that you can morph it. You are the universe having an experience of itself, and you get to pick and choose whatever you want to be. Isn't that cool? So beautiful, people. This time of awakening, when you're shifting into these higher frequencies, can be unnerving. Hang in there. Ask these questions. Stay super, super present. You got this. Let me know if you have any questions. Put them in the comments. Namaste.